When many people think of consciousness, what comes to mind is this unfathomable cosmic energy that fills space. But is this consciousness, or is consciousness a characteristic of this unfathomable energy? Welcome to the other dimension with your host and psychospiritual coach, Victoria Elizabeth On. Space is not empty. Space is full. And space is filled with this unfathomable energy that the more we discover about it, the more the energy appears unfathomable. But consciousness is not this energy. Consciousness is a characteristic of the energy. In fact, consciousness is an ability the unfathomable energy possesses. In a previous discussion, I gave a very simple definition for life. I pointed out that life is movement. Consciousness is the ability you have to alter movement. Now, since the definition of life is movement, it means consciousness is your ability to alter your life. When reference is made to the different dimensions of consciousness, we are referring to this ability as existing in degrees. The ability to alter movements exists in degrees. For example, elements have a different degree or dimension of consciousness from most plants. When we get to the religious consciousness, what are the telltales of this dimension? How does this consciousness alter life? How does the religious consciousness alter life, alter movement? Movements made by the religious consciousness centers around the individual. Whatever alterations are being made to life is directly related to personal survival and success, and by extension, the survival and success of immediate family members. More often than not, the religious consciousness depends on something external to them to make the right move regarding their survival and success. And so many corporations become important. Corporations such as the educational system, the medical system, systems of government, and or supernatural entities. That is why it is said that the religious consciousness depends on external saviors for their well-being. The movement of the religious consciousness is more related to self-justification rather than introspection. And so you will find that the religious consciousness is highly judgmental, not just of themselves, but of others as well. The concept of right and wrong is a function of judgment. Something cannot be considered right or wrong without it being judged as right or wrong. So the concept of right and wrong is founded on judgment. It is a function of judgment. But what is right and what is wrong, or what is good and what is evil, is a measure of how the action affects the religious consciousness. The more hurt the religious consciousness experiences from the action, the more evil the action is perceived. Now, there are some limitations to judgment. It limits creativity and imagination because the individual is fearful of thinking something that is wrong or fearful of stepping out of the box. So there is limitations on how much they can create and how much imagination they put into whatever they're getting done. You will find, therefore, that the more religious an individual, the stricter they are in adhering to rules and to norms and to regulations. There is one more thing I would like to point out where the religious consciousness is concerned. When the religious consciousness is faced with questions that are not related to their survival, their success, or their self-justification, the questions are ignored. Any such question exists outside of the field of view of the religious consciousness. So those questions are ignored. Now, why do we advocate for a higher state of consciousness? What is it that a higher state of consciousness can afford? The higher state of consciousness allows a field of view that encourages creativity, imagination, introspection, oneness, which is a hallmark of empathy, and advanced critical thinking. There is a letting go of the separateness conferred on us by the ego, and the individual becomes one with the cosmos. The higher consciousness does not focus on self-interest and desires. What matters is the interests and desires of the whole. Because the individual has transcended self-justification and is less judgmental, they are less critical of others. In fact, they view the behavior of others as a manifestation of their own state of consciousness and awareness. And they realize that people can only act in accordance with their own state of consciousness and awareness. This makes the higher consciousness more objective in analyzing the actions of others. The action is not judged according to how much hurt the individual is experiencing. People's actions are not tied to hurts. This is what opens the gate to empathy, patience, tolerance, and a deep affection for others. This is what the belief system that is founded on one has to offer when you step on that plane of higher consciousness and awareness. Think Big Coaching Academy points humanity in the direction we all need to take. This direction has as its foundation a belief system that brings everything together as a cosmic whole. If you find that the present belief systems have become irrelevant to you, pick up your copies of the Revelation of the Eternal Realm and Beyond Religiosity. Step out, step up into a higher plane of consciousness and awareness that supports a more advanced and fulfilling human existence.